Supreme King Gates 0 and Infinity are an interesting bunch in that while they lack some of their use that they have in real life, they still fill in on an interesting purpose. Gate 0 in the anime is the one with the Pendulum summon lockdown that Infinity has IRL, and its scale effect is to make you take no damage while you control a Supreme King monster. Pretty neat, but it pairs so well with its counterparts that it's actually good, as opposed to, oh, that's alright. Gate Infinity needs Gate 0 to be active, and if you take no damage because of Gate 0's effect, Infinity makes you gain that much in life points instead. The monster effect of both of these is that they search the other when destroyed in the monster zones. With the both of these up, you basically have an insane amount of life points, especially considering you can ram the other copies of these into other monsters just to search and gain like 6,000 life points in a turn and make yourself be coated in the armor made of the blood of the fallen. Sure, you can say the life points don't matter, but when a whole lot of don't matter comes into play, it starts to become matter. At least I think that's what my chemistry teacher told me. Either way, they're scales 0 and 13, so that automatically makes them kind of crazy considering they're searchable by Darkworm and can Pendulum summon anything you want. You can summon Great Magnus and Utopia Root simultaneously, what's not to love? What a great way to start off a list, with meta cards just kinda made, if not better, just really good. Number 9 is a surprising entry indeed, as I thought he shattered with his cousins in worst pendulums. Mirror Imagine Prism Coat 8 is the only useful part of Mirror Imagine. Sure, that sounds like I'm saying the best part of a car crash is not having to put on a suit and tie and go to work tomorrow, but trust me, there's a point to be made here. Prism Coat 8 is a level 7 machine that not only makes me feel like the name is lying to me and could have just been 7 so I don't constantly forget its level and misplay because of it, but also has the on-field effect to tribute itself to add the attack of a monster the opponent controls and give that attack to your own monster. Then adds on the bonus effect to your monster of making it unaffected by traps, spells, or monster effects, except for the Mirror Imagines themselves. Hey yo, you think Masterpiece is good? You know, the banned card? Well, this is making whatever you want a full power Masterpiece while also being Ruryoku. So have fun imagining why that was never printed. If this was just a spell, it would be absurdly broken. But can also be searched out quite easily and supports pendulums, so it's even more insane. Slam this into whatever you want, it just works as long as you have the scales, and if you remember the last segment less than a minute ago, you know where to find them. Coming out next is a monster who remains banned on the anime ban list, but for a reason you may not expect. PERFORMAPAL Laughmaker is a level 8 light spellcaster who has the weird effect to gain attack if itself or a card the opponent controls gains attack. That buff is 1000 for each monster who is buffed on the entire field, and lasts until that turn's battle phase ending. And when destroyed with a buff to its attack, it lets you revive a monster from your graveyard. Like I said prior though, this Joker is banned on the anime ban list for quite an obvious reason, but let me talk about what it does in today's game state. There are multiple PERFORMAPAL cards that give middling attack buffs, but now the payoff is not only in beatdown, which this card excels at, but also a clean and easy monster reborn. Yeah, maybe this thing is banned for obvious reasons and not just anime decks abusing it. You can take cards that exist and break this thing. Why not just slam in a few broken draw cards, make it even easier? Just gain a casual 5,000 attack from a single board-wide buff, go at it. This thing ends games out of nowhere, giving your opponent not only a game loss, but whiplash in the process. Next are the trio of infamous circus animals from back in the day. PERFORMAPAL MONKEYBOARD, Turtle, and LIZARDRAW form an infamous trinity back in the days of Pepe meta, and yet they have some major buffs in the anime. Figured they'd all go into one slot as they're strict upgrades and I don't have much to say about them individually. MONKEYBOARD is a once per turn Rhoda for PERFORMAPALs that are level 4 or lower. No need to be the turn it was activated, it just does that once per turn and you can still bounce it back and search it to do it multiple times that turn and make your hand the size of your face, which I was told means you have cancer in middle school and the kids hit me for possibly having an ailment. What evil and remorseless children. On the field, it buffs or reduces the level of a PERFORMAPAL monster in your hand by 1 that lingers even after it was summoned, which is better than a real-life effect that people have only activated on accident, but we all just care about 3 searches per turn. Turtle is even better, as it is not once per turn, nor do you need to activate a PERFORMAPAL for the draw. So enjoy your bouncing loops for draws and searches, because Bryanak was such a good idea that they printed a card that might as well just give you your entire deck. On-field effect doesn't matter much, but it does let you buff the scale of a target by 2 until the end of the turn, yay! Finally, LIZARDRAW lets you draw 1 card for free as a scale and shuffle itself back into the deck. On the field, if another monster gets destroyed, you can draw 1 card for each PERFORMAPAL you control. So, let me get this straight. I can play Turtle, draw a card, play MONKEYBOARD, draw a card, search LIZARDRAW, use the Pendulum Summon, use the Sorcerer, get 2 more searches, then do the exact same thing again, and have an infinite resource in the form of a scaly magical mallet? Monkeyboard is banned, and this is just more abusable. So really, there's no reason these 3 wouldn't make the game swarmed with the most childish artwork an archetype has ever seen, even beating out literal Saturday morning cartoon characters known fittingly as toons. Seriously, it's like they're mocking you by saying a literal child could draw, name the cards of, play, and win with this deck. Manga over anime is a statement that people have when referring to consumption, but here, it's just objective. Dark Anthelion Dragon is the manga's version of Yuto's Dark Rebellion Dragon, with a powerful effect to match. Standard Xyz Pendulum effect in turns of Pendulum summoning it out, and once per turn quick effect you can detach a material to have the attack of a monster the opponent controls, gain that much in attack, and then gain the same amount in life points, making it strictly better and also having the ability to do it again later. On top of that, it gets destruction protection for the turn you use this in. As well, the standard if popped go to the Pendulum Zone, but it has no effect, so all it would be is a 10 scale, but hey, that's modern Yu-Gi-Oh! For you. Everyone played Dark Rebellion, everyone would play this. End of story. Can't go a single Pendulum list without Zark being mentioned, huh? I mean, I already had it for number 10! I can't go a single list without mentioning Zark twice, can't I? Well, Supreme King Dragon Odd Eyes works much like the other Supreme King versions of the U-Boy Dragons, but for pendulums. That being, if a pendulum monster is pendulum summoned while you control Zark, it can special summon itself from hand, main deck, or face up from the extra deck via attributing 2... Dark Worms. They're Dark Worms. On top of giving a level of stun by redirecting attacks on pendulums to himself, it gives destruction protection each turn. As well, all pendulums do double damage, and you can re-add it to your extra deck in order to special summon 2 other Supreme King Dragon pendulums from the extra deck, and make all monsters your opponent controls have their attack become 0. Scale effect doesn't matter, but it lets you tribute in Supreme King monster to add it from scale to extra deck face up, in case you'd ever want to do that. In either case, this card leads to OTKs, value generation, protection, and basically anything you would ever want to ask for in a monster. Whatever archetype or playstyle you're playing, this thing is a wonderful addition. That, and they actually made Odd Eyes, one of the dopiest looking monsters that isn't intentionally so, actually look menacing. This looks like an ace monster, not a cereal mascot. From the Arc 5 manga, it's Yuri's Starving Venemy Dragon, which is different from Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, because I guess he just really liked one of the worst Eminem songs that he has made in a decade. Venemy takes 2 Pendulum monsters to fusion summon, and once during your main phase or battle phase, you have the quick effect to breakthrough skill, while making Venemy gain their effects, and also make them lose 500 attack, and also burn the opponent for 500 life points, cause why not? Strangely enough for a Pendulum sharing the extra deck slots, this boy actually has a potent Pendulum effect. As a scale, it can reduce battle damage to 0 once per turn, and when a card leaves the field, every monster gets a Venemy counter and loses 100 attack when it battles, except for the Venemy Dragon monsters themselves. Okay, so not the biggest effect in the world, but enough to say, huh, that isn't worthless. Stealing effects is kind of a huge effect, as if your opponent is playing something good, it might as well be Snatch Steal for how much use you get out of it, and has so much extra fluff that only serves as a silly amount of utility. Ever wanted to be Hinotamaed by a boss monster? Me neither, but here we are. Arc 5 really made the other versions of the U-Boy Dragon something special. And trust me, this isn't even the last you'll see of them. Here he is, one of the biggest memes ever, and a shining example of entertaining, meeting annoying. PERFORMAPAL 5 Rainbow Magician is mainly used as a scale, you see, as his effect applies to both players. While a duelist has 4 or less set cards in the back row, you can skip your draw phase. If you do not, it locks down your back row for the turn. As well, if you do not have all 5 slots set, your monsters lose their attack and effects. However, when you do have all 5 slots set, your monsters get double their original attack. When you set a card, the turn ends, and when a card is searched, it's auto-set. As a monster, if a player controls 5 pendulums, double their original attack, but they cannot attack directly. I'm sorry, wait, no, rewind a bit. What? Y'all are calling for the end of the world with Mystic Mine. Well, the real problem was here all along. Skip a turn? That's better than any Denko Sekka I've ever seen. Play this with Anti-Spell Fragrance and you just have half of your opponent's deck dead. Unless, oh I don't know, they're playing Mystic Mine, in which case their entire deck dies, and you don't have to worry about playing any weird tech cards to stop it. The counter to Mystic Mine is a better Mystic Mine. What does the world even come to? The silver medal goes to Master Spirit Tech Force Pendulum Ruler. Needing Spirit Tech Force Pendulum Governor and a Spirit Monster, the archetype, not the monster type. No crazy Aratama synergy here. It has an effect Destruction Protection, as well as stuns non-pendulums with a level less than or equal to his own, level 12, as well as negate their effects. So it's, skill drain on legs, something that's never to be underestimated. Once per turn, you can target a spirit crystal that was pendulum summoned from hand, and tribute it to use the monster's effect twice with double effect damage. Which, trust me, I don't want to talk about their effects in detail unless it's for a separate video, so let's just call it really good. Given that the crystals do pop and deal 1600 a pop is pretty incredible, I'd be lying to say if I didn't want to see these IRL. If only to see how stupid these games would look. Sure, burn for 3200 off a Twin Twister. Who cares? Do more than that. This thing's easier to summon than you may think in this deck. Sure, it makes FTKs happen, but that's never stopped the cards printing before now, has it? Number 1 is an oldie but a goodie. Odd Eyes Phantasma Dragon is, it can pendulum summon itself ignoring scales. Oh, it needs an Odd Eyes in the extra deck. As well, it gives a large attack reduction based on how much is in your extra deck. Yeah, it hits things really hard. It was in the Best Boss Monsters video. It takes games and does not care how. It will take everything you love, including the kids, and leave you with nothing. It will eat your dad and fuck your wife. It will eat your wife and fuck your dad. Need I say more?